Saw addiction. I saw alcoholism when I was out there on the street. It was horrifying. And the health conditions and the mental conditions of people like that were horrifying. I was in the pit of the lions. I am a retired veteran. I didn't have a good time in the military at all. I had a really rough time. There were some actions that happened that left me without my benefits, which I'm still fighting for. I was in civilian life, I was a manufacturing engineer. And probably about 2000, let's start with 2009, what happened. Before that, I had several accidents. Of course, I was into sports, motorcycles, and before 2009, I had already in a motorcycle accident that left me in a coma for a while. I wasn't supposed to come back from it. Head injury, real bad. I was climbing El Capitan at one time and fell 1,500 feet and survived that. But the one that was really major, the two that were really major, it was in 2009, I had a major heart attack and stroke, which left me in a wheelchair for 2 years. They said I would never walk again. I would never be able to be cognitive. And it took me several years to heal from that. During that time, it made me homeless. Since I don't get veterans benefits, I'm still fighting for that, by the way. But since I don't get veterans benefits, and I'm still fighting with advocacies and lawyers, I got on civilian disability, which for a while took care of me. It wasn't bad. And then as the years progressed and the economy tipped the other way, I found myself homeless. No drugs, no alcohol, but I found myself homeless. And shelters, friends' couches, girlfriend here and there, a garage, just trying to heal from that heart attack and stroke. And the unfortunate thing is I wound up, struggling quite a bit. And my faith, I always told people I was not a man of faith because God had left me that way. But see, before I had that heart attack and stroke, I was very egotistical. I was not humble. I made enough money as an engineer so I could have that attitude of going out of my way when someone was homeless in my way to almost kick them, sit there and almost spit on them, tell them, oh, get off your butt, get a job, someone like that. And everybody said, well, you should be more forgiving and more helpful. And I wouldn't. I would say, well, God put them there for a reason. I should have never said that because God put me there for a reason. One night in my backyard while I was an engineer and I was making all this money, house, car, boat, all this stuff I was working to keep. A house in Carlsbad, California. I'm working 60, 70 hours a week, never seeing my family, never seeing that boat or that car or that house, always at work. And I was a military contractor as an engineer. So I was working on weapons design, things like that. And one day I see on the news, I'm watching the news, and I see that a project I was working on here in San Diego had wiped out 300 people. And it was a drone project for the first Raptor and Predator drone project down here. And I was honored as a manufacturing engineer. And I saw that it had taken the lives of civilians by collateral damage. And it hit me. I hated my life. I can't believe that I was so much going after that money, that career, those things that made me look good, that I went in my backyard and I got on my knees for the first time in my life, because I was never a religious man. I never thought of God at all. So I got on my knees in my backyard and I said, I can't stand this anymore. I'm a miserable man. I have all this abundance and all these things, and yet I cannot be happy. And about 7 days later, I had a major heart attack and stroke, put me in a wheelchair. And I lost the house, I lost the car, I lost the boat, I lost the retirement, girlfriend left. I wound up in an old RV in an RV park in a wheelchair. And when I got out of the hospital, it was like 6 months in the hospital even, because it was such a major. I was left side hemiplegic from the head all the way down to my foot. Could not feel my left side. Wearing diapers, had a catheter, everything you could do to humble a person. And everybody left. Friends I had for years as engineers are, oh, well, he's mentally messed up now, so we're not gonna, good luck, Mike. We hope the best for you. And those are the people I was hanging around because I treated others that way. So that's where my journey started. And that was the first time that I was introduced to my Creator. Because while I was out in that coma, I actually had an experience where, and people call it ketoacidosis. Some say it was the brain injury. Others say it was a spiritual awakening. I say it was an actual physical. I saw my Creator for a little while. And he says, I have a purpose for you. And I never knew what that purpose was. And I was so angry. I even told him some expletives. You can take it and shove it. There's no way. You took everything from me. And you took my physical body from me, even. And I said, I hate you. Why don't you just, if you're real, because I had that old thought of him not being real. I said, if you're real, end my life. I don't want it anymore. I'm begging you. Nope, that was not his plan for me. Not at all. Well, for a while there, I struggled from place to place, lived in an RV park, was very mentally ill because of my situation. And a friend of mine that I knew, another veteran brother, got involved, and my insurance was no good. Everything, it wiped me out completely. Even my private insurance ran out. So I'm trying to go to stroke therapy, can't. And all of a sudden, this veteran brother from a long time ago shows up out of the blue. I don't even know how he found me. He said he prayed and he found me. He was told to come to me, right? So he bought all this equipment from Home Depot that was like the same thing used in stroke therapy. He looked up stroke therapy and he would come over twice a week and give me stroke therapy as a civilian veteran. And once I was able to get out of the wheelchair and walk again, he made rails and the whole works, and I learned how to walk the whole works. And I thought, maybe there's something to this Creator thing. Maybe. But then going back and forth, I started getting into voiceover work because that's all I had. And people paid me for my voice. So I started doing voiceover work and film and editing and just on the side as like a fun thing. Now, remember, I've been through 4 deaths. The time I fell off the cliff, it killed me and they brought me back. I drowned in the military. I drowned twice. They brought me back. The motorcycle accident, and then this last heart attack. The heart attack and stroke didn't kill me, but this last one did, and this was 2 years ago. Now, up until that point, I was struggling. Up until 2 years ago, I was struggling. I'm basically renting rooms in a house, and COVID hit, and I lost the room, lost the house because the prices went through the roof. And I found myself in a shelter, very dangerous situation in a shelter because I'm not used to drugs and alcohol and people that deal with it. And then I'm on the street, on the curb, and I'm got my rucksack and my military clothing. That's all I had left. And then all of a sudden I started hanging out in these camps, which are homeless camps, and other veterans that are there. And I started talking with them, and it was almost like I was in preschool. I was being trained for something, because all of a sudden I'm hearing their stories and seeing how their struggles were. Because I was a pretty strong guy, no drugs, no alcohol, no addiction. So I had my mind about me, but I'm in a group with people that had lost everything, even themselves and their minds. And I thought, how can I help? And that was the first, I guess, indication of what my Creator wanted to change my heart. He literally took me out of abundance and put me in, and basically there's a verse in the Bible, and I forget what chapter and verse and all that, because I'm, like I said, I wasn't very spiritual before in my life. But there's a verse that says that God has to break you before he can build you. And I was absolutely broken. I mean, broken to the very heart. And I didn't know what to do. I was stuck in this situation with these people. And so I found myself, instead of saying, get a job, you're dirty, you're gross, all of a sudden I'm one of them, and I'm going out to restaurants saying, look, can I clean your back alley? I got a bunch of guys over here that are hungry. Let me do your dishes, and can I get some meals and take it to these people? Because some of them are older than I am, seniors or veterans. I'm a veteran. Can I get bottled water? Can I do something to help somebody? And all of a sudden this mission started. I started getting this small mission. It was very tiny. And then I got into a house again, got a room for rent on my Social Security disability, because I'm, like I said, I don't get veterans benefits yet. I'm still fighting. And while I was there, I started doing voiceover work and filming. I used the living room, and I had rented a bedroom, and all the roommates were cool with it, So I thought, let's do some stuff. Started making a few dollars, and all of a sudden I started getting that same attitude creeping back in. I'm out of the street. I am better. I struggled from poverty, and that attitude creeped back in. And I was doing pretty good up until COVID hit, and it wiped out my business completely. I went back on Social Security disability because that's what I was living on. But all that extra money and that, oh, well, I'm on film now and all that stuff, that went away real quick. And I found myself literally on the street again as a reminder, sort of like, you have a mission. And I kept on praying. I go, I know you're there. I know you're real. I accept you as my Lord and Savior, but I have this little bit of doubt back of my head what I should do in my life, because look at me. Why did you do this to me again? Anger, right? Well, a friend of mine bought a trailer. It was not expensive. It was a derelict trailer that they could only afford to help me with. And unfortunately, drug addicts had gotten into it. The doors were ripped off the frame. The windows broken out. There was rats and human defecation in there. It was bad. It was real bad. But they didn't want to see me in a shelter, because the shelter is very dangerous, and you only get 30 days. Then you're back on the street. And I started hating things. Very, very negative attitude. Instead of turning to my Creator and praying to him for a direction, I prayed to him and say, how dare you? I shouldn't have done that. But it was training. And basically we cleaned the place up. I stayed there. I struggled there. It was in someone's backyard. No running toilet, no running water, hardly any electricity. And I got a composting toilet so I could be okay. I got a hose from the house out to the trailer. I got a big, huge distro line, 30 amps out to the trailer, and made a little garden and put a bamboo fence around it. Even though it's illegal to do, I still did it, and I survived. I am now in that situation still. Well, what gave me my mission wasn't all the times I died. It was the same person showed up each and every time I was in that coma. The same person showed up. The same person told me there's a purpose for why you're going through this. The same person, which I transmute to my creator directly. Everybody else says, oh, well, you're hallucinating. No, because he explained to me exactly what was going to happen to me each and every time. Well, 2 years ago, I started losing faith in myself, faith in anything. I'm still stuck in this situation. I have some talent. I know I can do these commercials and these voiceover work and stuff, but it's not going anywhere. I'm stuck in somebody's backyard. I'm homeless again. What am I supposed to do? And I had a major heart attack and stroke. The heart attack killed me. I was DOA on arrival to the hospital. They gave me a stroke shot, which really messed me up. They saw signs of my body going into it, so they gave me a special shot. They cracked my chest. They gave me an 8-vein bypass. 2 valves had to be repaired because they tore off of the heart. I was bleeding in my chest. My heart wall had torn. And they say, usually we don't even go for a surgery like that when we find that much damage. You're dead. You're gone. So 6 hours of the surgery, 4 hours, which I was in and out of brainwave activity. It went so low. So they told my family, there's nothing we can do. Be prepared for him to die. Now, this whole time, this last experience that happened to me, they gave me a big zipper. But this last experience, my creator came directly to me. And I sat, and it was weird because this time it wasn't a hazy thing. It was like I was there. Before it was hazy. A bright light would come out of the distance, and it was foggy, and I didn't really remember exactly what was going on. I sort of do, that type of deal. This time I remember distinctly every smell, every sound, everything. And when I was under, my father was there on the banks of a river that he and I used to go and fish. He's long past gone. And this bright, I want to say humanoid figure came out. And I said, okay, what, is it? I knew I died. It was weird. I knew I was gone. I actually saw myself on the table. And then all of a sudden I'm in this place. It's just absolutely beautiful. It's not like, everybody says, oh, there's angels with wings and clouds. And all. No, it wasn't that at all. It wasn't that at all. It was a beautiful place I've been in before. My father was there who had long passed. My grandmother, my sister, and a few people I knew in the military, they were on the other side of the river, just sitting there fishing, having a good time. And this bright light came to me, and it sat down next to me. And he says, now I'm going to give you your mission. Now you're going to know. Sorry, it's So he touched my heart, put his hand on my heart, put his hand on my head. Says, now you know. Now you know. I go, who are you? He says, I've been here forever. I will always be here forever. I am part of you. You are part of me. And I thought, what am I supposed to do? And I actually absolutely asked, what am I supposed to do? I can't go back and be in a wheelchair and all that. Are you here to take me? Am I supposed to be here? And my father turned to me and said, just listen. He says, you're okay. Because I was sort of freaked out. Still, I'm like, okay, I know I died. I know I'm not, my heart stopped, the whole works. I heard the machines, the whole works. And I thought, okay, I'm I'm gone. So what do I do next? And he says, this is your mission. He says, take care of those that you experienced, those who have lost hope. Listen to them. It's hard to explain, but when I woke up, I had tubes out my chest for drainage. I had a tube down my throat. I had a tube in my neck, underneath my arm. And I'm looking around going, I can't believe I'm back, for one. I have this huge bandage all the way down almost to my stomach. They had literally cracked me open. And the cardiologist and the nurse that was right there had tears in their eyes. She goes, we didn't think you were going to come back. We couldn't get your brain to kick in or your heart to actually restart, and we were going to call it. And all of a sudden, everything just started out of the blue. He says, during the middle of the surgery, they had to put me on a machine. They took my heart out and put it next to me while they were working on it. And they say in the middle of it, my heart started pumping so hard that they were scared that they weren't be able to put it back in and do things with it, because they said it was an autotomic reaction. It was an autotomic reaction. My Creator touched my heart. So when I came back, the memories of what he told me, I started my mission. And I'm still struggling. I go back to the trailer to live in conditions that aren't good for a heart patient, that's for sure. And I start getting stronger and stronger and stronger. My body comes back. I mean, I'm in great shape now. I went through a period where I had to ration food and things because I wasn't getting any benefits, hardly at all. But then all of a sudden it hit me. Use your voice. So my voice, I started doing commercials for veterans, for veteranpreneurs. People have success in business as veterans and they wanted like a voiceover for their podcast. So I started doing that. That's where I started. And then someone said, well, your story is crazy from the military. It was really bad. I can't even talk about that. It was really bad. Crazy. And we're going to get your story out there because we believe it'll save your life, to release that. And all of a sudden my mission was started right then. When they did the story on me and what happened to me, it relieved me of all this pain and anger and hate and all these things. It was like healed me completely. And then I understood my mission completely. My Creator wants me to go out and interview these homeless veterans and get their story out. Start a podcast channel using my voice and now my connections I have in the veteran community. And now that they've done a 3-part series on YouTube called Saving Mike Dalbo from VetComm, VETCOMM. And I got involved with them, and but I thought, how am I going to do the mission? I don't have any money. I'm in this trailer. I don't have any equipment or gear. I got my Android phone that barely works. How am I going to do this? And I prayed one night, and the only thing I heard in my prayer was, you know where to go. You've been there before. I trained you for this. And all of a sudden I understood why he put me in those situations. Why he let me go through that suffering where I almost starved to death. I had a heart attack from being in toxic areas and not eating and being hopeless with no hope at all. And all of a sudden I heard from him directly in a dream. You know where to go. You've been trained. This is your mission. So one night I'm getting discouraged again because, how am I going to do this? So I said, I'm willing to do it. I'm going to talk to all these people I know and see if I can get sponsorship, whatever. Months went by, nothing going on. And I'm still trying. I'm writing script, I'm learning, I'm trying to set something up. And I'm still having issues with my eyes, because I'm legally blind in this eye and I can only see 10 feet in this eye. So I don't drive. My license was taken because of the last stroke. It took my eyes. So I'm on foot. I don't have enough for even bus pass. And I'm barely eating, right? Because the rents are so high. And even the space I'm renting in my friend's backyard is pretty high compared to what I bring in. And he's trying to help me out, but he has to cover cost, electricity and water and all that. So I'm thinking, how am I going to make it? I can't do this. I can't do this. And one night, even though I don't gamble, I'm not a gambler at all. I think it's stupidity to gamble. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I'm trying to struggle out of my reality, but in a better way. And I saw addiction. I saw alcoholism when I was out there on the street. It was horrifying. And the health conditions and the mental conditions of people like that were horrifying. I was in the pit of the lions, literally. I'm getting attacked by other homeless people. I got stabbed 4 times while I was on the street, fighting, trying to keep my boots and my rucksack, because that's what they were attacking me for. It was ridiculous. It was bad. It was the worst situation you could ever go with. Police were horrifyingly very, very aggressive, even with me when I was complying. Popped my collarbone out, and nothing I could do about it because they were saying, "Oh, you're resisting," and I'm on the ground. No, I'm not. You're not supposed to be here. Move on, And America gave me, instead of my veterans benefits, 2 tickets for being homeless and a threat of a 3rd felony if I got caught again being homeless. Those 2 tickets were because I was giving out water and food without a permit to the homeless during very, very hot weather. So I'm being oppressed all over the place. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm trying. The night I got the tickets for giving out water and food without a permit, $250 fine. I don't have money for. I have to do this service. And it hit me. I'm trying. And I looked up, I said, "Lord, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying." He says, "You're doing it all wrong." So I trained you. That's all I kept on hearing. I trained you for this. It's like basic training. I trained you for this. So one night I'm very discouraged, and I look up and I go, "I can't do the mission. I'm sorry, I have no backup." And all of a sudden, ding, ding, on my phone, I get this notification, right? Sitting right next to me. And it's, "Oh, you've won this free spins on this casino thing." And I thought, $10 of free spins. I'm going to spin it once and draw the money out because I haven't eaten in 2 days. And I'm going to go get some sandwich bread and some peanut butter and stuff, right? And I hit it and I win 10 cents. And I try to draw it out and they're like, "No, you can't draw it out. You have to spin all of it." And then usually that scam is you spin all of it and then you have to put $5 in more and win more. And then they get you hooked and it's a gambling hook. And I thought, I'm going to spin it one last time and then I'm going to erase it because I'm not going to be able to get a sandwich with this. It's a waste of time. And I hit for a lot of money. A lot of money. And it was a miracle outright. And the only thing I could do is say that now what my mission is I'm going to get a better one. I'm going to buy a fifth wheel, or not a fifth wheel, but a toy hauler so I can make a studio in it. Then the next thing and I'm still looking for that one. But the next thing I did was I ordered all this equipment for field work and studio work and editing work. And I took classes in Adobe, Premiere, and Resolve, and Pro Tools, and everything. I just started my mission. And my mission now, and this is something that I have lost family members over. A few friends had turned away from me because they think I'm like crazy because God talked to me. And they turned their backs on me, unfortunately. But when God calls you to do something, you do it. Even if you don't understand it, you just eke through and try and keep on asking for more direction, ask for wisdom, ask for help. So in the end, from surviving all this, going, health problems, literally dying so I could be introduced to him directly, and then going through the homelessness, it gave me such a strong mission. I remember Job's faith. He had boils and internal sickness, and his friends and family turned away from him. He lost every single thing down to the dust in his life, and he begged God to take his life. But he always was there speaking to his Creator. Even if he lost his own faith, he always had faith the Creator was listening to him, even if it was something as negative as take my life. And that parable, that story, stuck with me the day after my heart attack and stroke that put me on the street. It stuck with me. And for some reason, it just stuck with me. That type of faith I wanted and didn't have. I guess I had the desire to have that faith. I heard his stories as a kid, the whole works, and my family was pretty religious at the time when I was a kid. And I always wanted that type of faith, but hated the fact that I didn't have that type of faith. But in the end, it wound up that I did have that type of faith. So now I'm starting my podcast, and I'm going out. The plan is, and we're still working on this until I get a toy hauler, which I'm still trying to find. It's very hard to find in my price range. But once I find a toy hauler and put that in there, my dedication the rest of my life is going to be going out to the field with field equipment, to those camps, to those shelters, to those programs, to interview our men and women of armed forces that have been forgotten by their country like I was. I'm going to get their story out, help their faith. It's almost like a field ministry in a way, to bring them some hope, bring them, I'm making deals with Access and other companies that give, if you have a food stamp card, give you a phone. I'm making deals with them to put it in the rucksack. So when I go out to these places, I can get them signed up for a phone. I can give them resources with advocacies and lawyers and where to get food, because let me tell you, some of these, you go down to social services and you don't get anything. You get this big, huge list of housing, resources, and food that none of them are good. 80% to 90% of those numbers are too old, and you don't get anything. And I give them their rights, a little piece of paper that shows their rights, human rights, because you lose your human rights when you go homeless. You do. No one treats you like a human. Places that have helped me and how to go out and ask for food in the right way. Places you can wash and stay clean. Places that will give you free clothing to keep you clean. Mental health groups that aren't the social worker ones, because those ones, oh my God, they don't help you. They're there to make money on grants. They don't help you. I have these guys, a list of private people that are willing to volunteer and go out and help them. Actually help them, not shove pills down their throat like the VA does, but actually listen to their story, get their story out, help them through their emotional issues. Getting lists of veteran villages that are accepting senior veterans and other veterans, organizations that help, other brothers online who help. That's what I'm gathering. And a lot of drug addiction and alcoholism. And I myself, years ago, when I got out of the military, had an issue for about 2 years. And I went to NA and AA. And I've been going ever since, even though I don't have an issue. I don't do drugs or alcohol anymore. It's been 37 years now since. But I still go out and I still help that addict and that alcoholic with information. And even if I can take them to a meeting, I'll take them to a meeting on a bus. I'll pay for Uber now because I want to see that person get some sort of help. And you know how the news media says that we all like it out there and we refuse services and we want to be homeless? Let me tell you about that. You get services for 30 days, possibly, in a shelter, and then they kick you back out on the street. You are a number for a grant. That's all you are. During the time in the shelter, you can't use certain things. You can't do certain phone calls. You can't do certain things. When I was in the shelter, I got 120 days in the shelter because while I was in the shelter, I said, this dusty, not used computer room, let me open it up and teach these people how to write a resume, how to search for resources, how to get online. Half of them didn't even know how to get online. So I started holding classes twice a week to help these people. And let me tell you, the whole time I was there, it improved the whole society inside that shelter because someone actually cared. They weren't there just being fed and watered. They were being loved. That's my mission now. Too many of us veterans and too many of us are left behind. We're a number now. We're no longer a human being or a service personnel. We're used up and we're thrown away to the street and no one cares. When you walk by someone homeless, do you ever care about that that's a human being there? Or do you just see a drunk, an addict, a dirty person? Oh, if I give them money, they're going to buy alcohol. Well, hand them some water and food then. You know, compassion in society nowadays has gone away in our society. We get into our big homes, we get our cars, we get settled in, and we think this is our safety net. You are one step away from sitting next to that person on that curb. I was making $105 a year as an engineer, and all of a sudden, I'm not making more than $12,000 a year now. That doesn't even make you survive. So human compassion is lost. And so my message is that my Creator touched my heart and mind, put me through those things on purpose to break me so I could actually help and be a vocal cord for those who don't have it anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to interview these people. We're going to get their story up on so they know that they have a chance. Give them a phone and a email address so they can get resources. Help them get off the street, even if they're still on the street. Then I'm going to be interviewing the politicians that are supposed to put money in to help these people, the advocacies that are trying and are frustrated because they're underfunded, the mental health workers that want to do more but they can't, the VA. Why are they doing this to our soldiers and leaving them out there in the field to die from mental health because we're underfunded? You know, you go to the VA for mental health and you get 15 minutes every 3 months and you get pills. That's it. Why aren't we taking care of our nation's heroes that were willing to die for this country? I did die twice. They brought me back. And then they treat me like that. Well, it's not about me anymore. It's about my brothers and sisters who are suffering. And I guess my Creator saw that and gave me that mission. But I had to be trained. So the last thing I would say about all this is if you're going through something horribly wrong in your life, a divorce, a breakup, loss of a house, financial issues, emotional issues, a business going wrong, whatever it is, stop looking at it like God's not helping you. Because you never know. God might be training you. Your issue may save someone else. Your story may save someone else. You may be the rock that they need in their life even though you're going through hell. Well, how do you know what hell is and how you know what evil is unless you're confronted with it, unless you walk through it? How can you have strength to help someone if you know nothing about it? See, that's the thing, why we go through these things. Why God actually puts these things on us. And he doesn't put it on us, he lets us go through it because he sees the strength and the ability, like I said, to finish a mission. He'll give you a mission if you ask for it, but be careful, because when you ask for that mission, he is going to train you in that mission. Because his word is the most strongest one in the whole universe. So believe that what you're going through, I used to pray, God, just get me out of this. My emergency God, I called it. Now when I go through things, I go, teach me. Let my heart be open to being taught what to do next. And right now I just got started. I'm still a homeless veteran living in someone's backyard, but now I have hope. Now I have the gear and equipment. I have the backup. I have the contacts, and I'm just starting now, and it's going fast, going forward very fast now. And that's only reason why is because I accepted the mission and figured out what it needed to be because of his direction. So always ask for strength and direction, not for rescue. Because maybe asking for rescue is going against his plan for you. So wisdom and direction, those are the things you need to ask for when you pray in a bad situation. Because you never know. Like I said, the next person that talks and says something, you're going to go, I went through that. This is how I got through. So stay close to your Creator. Don't hate him. Don't hate him. He has the best intentions for you. Your story, whether you know it or not, will affect someone else in strength and hope. Even if you die during that struggle, your story is going to save someone else that's thinking about how they can't get through that struggle, because they'll look and see the reflection of your struggle and your strength. And what they're seeing is God's strength in that. So that's about all I have. Now that people have heard my story and my mission, my other mission, the end of all this, the idea I have to help the situation with homeless veteran and just homeless, is to, I guess, rally or I even forget the word, but to try to get my local governmental leaders to get grants, lower the permitting cost, lower the red tape in order to put together a type of veterans village. Everybody heard about Veterans Village, where they set up a whole bunch of ADUs. But instead of just watering and feeding the village, you have a community center inside the village where it can be used for training, volunteers coming in and training on trades or work or whatever it is they need in resources, phones, local resources. Then you have trainers come in and train for work. Since I was a manufacturing engineer and everybody's doing all this trade problem right now, bringing manufacturing back to the United States, well, use our veterans who are in need, because if you can get the mental health help for them and you get them back on track and you train them in a way where they're a unit again, together, brothers and sisters together, working together, you would have more of a success in manufacturing, and you could train them in the trades. You could bring people in that'll volunteer, other successful veterans who have gotten success after service, and then train their brother and sisters like we used to when we first went into the service. have an actual veterans village that is functional. But we can't do that, especially here in California, because the costs are so high. And so if we could get, let's say, land that the military or the government isn't using and is just a tax burden to the government, and actually set up real help, not just shelters to feed and water, but to improve, to help, to build up, to change. That's what I'm wanting to do. And there's not enough of that out there.
If you liked this video and it gave you hope, be sure to subscribe for more stories of hope. Ordinary people with extraordinary stories. And why not share it with someone you love?